Ladies and gentlemen, we're here at Real Deal Talk, and today we have special guest, and you guys know how I do it. I'm always very excited about the guest, but this one in particular, Dr. Melinda Silva. Now, Melinda and I met, we met at I think we first met at a charity function, didn't we?
Right, it was a fundraiser event.
It was a fundraiser event. You were with Maria, right? Met you through
Right.
Maria. Maria Arcega-Dunn from Fox 5.
Yes, when I was doing my Fox 5, I was a medical correspondent for Fox 5
Yep.
for about 6 years, and I did a segment called Ask the Moms, and I was one of the moms on the segment.
Oh, my gosh. So now, originally I actually thought that you were a naturopath.
Right.
But when you walked in today, you kind of said, no, not quite. Actually, something a little bit even more unique than that. So do me a favor. Explain to our audience here today, and we'll get a little bit more into, the backstory of how we met. But explain the type of doctor that you are, because it was fascinating.
So I am a medical doctor trained in California.
Yep.
And I practice mainstream medicine. I'm board certified in family medicine. And I worked for Kaiser for 13 years. And then something happened to me. I started having changes in my body that left me unrecognizable to myself. I was losing my hair. I started to get belly fat. I had my fourth baby when I was 40 years old.
Wow.
So it was changes that made me not like myself. And I wasn't the nurturing mother to my 4 kids because I was was not patient. I was irritable, and that's not who I am. So I knew that there were changes going on, and I really wanted to get help. And when I went to my primary care doctor, they wanted to give me Prozac and birth control pills.
Of course.
And I knew that wasn't going to be the answer for me. So I had to look outside of mainstream medicine to figure out what I can do to get myself back to me. And that's when I found out about integrative functional medicine that looks at the root causes of disease, that helps your body to heal naturally. And I found out about the plant-based bioidentical hormones. So they're not the synthetic hormones that cause cancer or heart disease that women are afraid to take. They are plant-based hormones. And those hormones help me to have optimal cellular functioning, which meant that I was able to sleep again. I wanted to have sex again.
Oh,
I wanted
gosh.
my hair grew back. I got my body back. I was me again, but that meant I had to leave mainstream medicine to be able to offer it to other people. So I did a 2-year fellowship in functional and integrative medicine. So I'm double board certified. So I'm a doctor in allopathic medicine, the traditional medicine, but I ended up doing a focus on integrative functional medicine. So I bridge those two worlds. I bridge the worlds between Eastern and Western medicine, which for me is the best of both worlds. I take the best of both worlds so that not only I could be healthier, but I could offer that to my patients. I wanted people to know that they have a choice. I treat both men and women, but a lot of the times women, we just thought that was our rite of passage. We just, we have labor during pregnancy, we have a period every month, and some of us suffer more than others. So I just thought, when we lose our hormones, it's going to be the same thing. We're just going to suffer. It was a rite of passage. Until I realized it is not, that you do have a choice. But for me, that choice had to be healthy. I wasn't going to take something that was going to be worse than the disease, right?
Right.
So for me, I wanted to make sure I always come from a place of health. So that's why I ended up doing a fellowship. And I left mainstream medicine. And now I have a thriving practice just on holistic health and taking care of patients and helping them feel themselves again, feel strong and feel vibrant at any age. So my practice is anti-aging and wellness, but it's really age management, right? So I take you where you're at and just help you to just age more gracefully.
And speaking of aging gracefully, ladies and gentlemen, please take a look at Dr. Melinda Silva here. And if you notice, she said when she was 40. Yes. So that means she's older than 40. which is hard to believe. Give them the number, please.
Well, my youngest, who I said she was 40. I was 40
Yep.
when
Yeah.
she was born. Is now going to start UCLA this year. She's 18.
She's
So,
18.
and I'm going to be 59 in May.
59.
In May.
Folks,
Yes.
take a look. Okay,
Yes,
so
but I tell people, remember, my magic wand is broken, so I have to walk the walk, right? I have
That's
to practice what I preach. So
exactly what I was getting at.
Yeah, people are not going to trust me if I don't take care of myself. So I really practice all of what I tell my patients to do. And, yeah.
I love that. Look at this. Talk about it, the poster child for your own practice of what you do. What are they going to say? They're going to look at you and go, well, how can you help me when you're 59 and you look like you're 29?
Well, they're going to say, I want what you want.
Exactly.
I want what you have.
Totally.
But, I work for it, though.
Yes,
I do.
it's work. It's a lot of work.
It is.
But what's the contrary? Because I always say short-term pain, long-term pleasure.
Right.
The work is a little bit painful, but long-term, look at the life you're living.
Right.
You just did another fitness competition.
Right, I'm stronger than ever.
Stronger than ever. You feel better. You're sleeping better. You look. That's pleasure.
Right.
But most people go the opposite. They do the short-term pleasure game, which is eating whatever you want, not taking care of doing whatever you want, not even thinking about it. But then long-term pain is when they end up late, right? And they feel terrible, look terrible, because they're not doing anything that's, painful in the beginning.
Right.
So, all right. So, and because we're gonna get more into depth into that. But I also want to, which is customary for my show here, because I want to dig in a little bit on the backstory to find out how Melinda got to where you were going into medicine and doing all that stuff. All right. So we're gonna go back a little bit here, if you don't mind.
Okay.
Let's go back to where were you born and raised?
Well, I was born in the Philippines, and my father was in the Navy. And so we traveled when I was 2 years old, first to Hawaii, and then we lived in Texas. And I was happy that he was in the Navy because I find myself most comfortable by the water.
Yeah.
So we moved around a lot every 2 years, but it was always by the water. So it was really nice. So I lived on all coasts of America. And luckily, he ended up retiring in San Diego.
Now, which Navy was he in? Was he in the United States Navy?
Yes, he was in the U.S. Navy. He was recruited to fight in the war, the Vietnam War.
Yeah.
And he brought myself and my younger brother and my mom into the United States. He was able to bring us, and he was so proud to be in the Navy.
Yeah.
I just lost him a couple of years ago.
Sorry.
During COVID, and that was a really hard time for me. But he was the one that actually helped me to do fitness.
Yeah.
Even when he passed, because I was in a dark place. I was in despair, and my friend that was a trainer said, "We have to get you out of this funk," and he said, "I'm going to train you so that you could focus on the physical strength of your body."
Yeah.
And it worked. But me being so competitive and needing a goal, I just couldn't exercise for the sake of exercise. I needed to have a goal. So he gave me 1 month to compete in my first competition, which I knew I wasn't going to be ready the way that I wanted to be ready. And that keeps a lot of people from going forward, right? But I knew I was going to be better than where I was.
Totally.
And that was what was important to me. And for me, I wasn't really in competition with anyone else except for myself.
Yes.
So as long as I kept that in focus, and I knew that I was doing this so that I could be better for me, then I knew I was going to be happy. But it put me on a strict schedule of training and eating. I was known as the cookie monster, right?
Yeah.
I never met a cookie I didn't like. I just love cookies. And for 3 months, I didn't take sugar. No sugar for 3 months.
Wow.
And that's crazy.
Oh, yeah.
Because there's so many things that had sugar. Even my favorite deli meat had less than 2% of sugar as a preservative. So if I didn't look at that, I wouldn't know.
Yeah.
So I looked at all the labels, and I just realized the sodium content of things, and I'm wondering, wow, no wonder I gained like 2 pounds just by eating like tuna,
Yeah.
canned tuna and deli sandwiches, and you thought you're eating healthy. But if you don't look at the sugar or sodium content of foods, it just can lead you astray.
Yeah.
So for me, it just was a wake-up call on what I needed to do to be at the fitness level that I wanted to be. And it was really hard because I had hurt myself at CrossFit when I was about 50 years old.
Oh, yeah.
And I hurt my wrist. And I thought, oh my gosh, I'm never going to do that again. And then when I was 57, I just found the right trainer
Yeah.
that helped me to modify the exercises so that I could not, I could push myself without hurting myself.
Right.
Because that was what's important. And then I ended up, that was 2 years ago, and I ended up winning 11 titles in Master Fitness.
Oh my gosh.
For bikini, which I never thought I would ever do.
Yeah.
Really, never thought I would ever do in my whole life.
And so you had never done a competition then?
No.
I thought you did.
No, I did martial arts. I was, I'm very proud to say I was actually the first American to receive a silver glove in Savate, which is French kickboxing.
Yeah.
When I was at UCLA, my boyfriend was my trainer, but I'm very focused, right?
Yeah.
So martial arts gave me that foundation for discipline,
Yes.
right? That helped me through medical school and whatever I wanted to do, but I'm very goal oriented, so that's what I was shooting for, and
Wow.
usually my husband will say, well, how come you always get what you want? Because I usually don't stop until I get
Until
it,
you do.
right?
Yeah.
I just keep working at it. Doesn't mean that you don't ever fail.
Right.
It just means that you don't ever quit.
Yes.
Right? And so for me, I just keep going until I get what I want.
Yeah.
And I think that is really what helps me to stay successful and be able to do everything that I do.
And ladies and gentlemen, hopefully you just listened to that. That you paid attention. You just never quit. Because
Right. Just never
the key in life, in whatever you're going after, whatever it is, next level, business, fitness, it doesn't matter. The moral of the story is just don't quit, because eventually you're going to get there.
Yes, you will, if that's what you want,
Yeah,
right? And sometimes you have a path and you're going along this journey that you think is where you want, and then you get a detour. And that's okay. I tell people, when something doesn't happen for you at that moment in your life, it's because you're meant to take a different path.
Yes.
Doesn't mean that you're still not going to get to where you want to be. It just may mean it's not for you right now at that moment in life. And then
love
that's
that.
okay.
Yeah.
Because as long as, I tell people will tell me, oh my God, I went to my reunion in high school. And I remember going to my 10-year reunion, and I saw people and they thought, oh, wow, you actually are, you're in medical school, you're doing it. And they're like, I thought that would take so much time. But yes, time passes for all of us.
Yeah.
Time's going to pass. So don't worry about how long something's going to take. Because as long as you're enjoying the ride, you're enjoying the process, it really doesn't matter.
Right.
If you're doing something that's meaningful to you. And that's what I tell people. It doesn't matter how long anything takes, if it's meaningful, right?
Yes.
And you're meaningful. And that's what that's how I try to live my life. I want to do things. I always want to do things that are right. I always want to do things well. And I always want to be true to myself, right?
And like you said, as long as you're enjoying the process, that's what it's all about.
That's what I say. If you love the journey,
yes,
then why does it matter how long it takes?
Doesn't matter.
Well, it doesn't.
Because life is a journey. Why not enjoy every single aspect and every minute of the journey?
Right. And then
it's so simple, right?
And I remember when I was on my reunion, someone told me, wow, I should have done this or whatever they wanted to do, but they didn't because they thought it took too much time. But guess what? We were here at the same moment in time, and this is where we're at. And are you happy where you're at, basically?
Are you happy where you're at? Are you living the life of your dreams right now?
Yes. Are you happy where you're at? And if you're not, well, make the path to get there. And that's what you want to do. It doesn't really matter.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah, it doesn't matter what detours you have in life, as long as you're enjoying the journey. So for me, because I have been accused of being too happy, if that can ever happen.
That's a great.
And I
great.
actually have lost friends because they said, you're just way too happy for me.
Yeah, they can't handle it.
They can't handle it. And they say, why are you so happy? And I say, why not?
Right.
Right?
Life's
if you have
good.
a choice, why not? And so for me, it's just, I tell people I'm happy because I'm grateful, because I have blessings, because that's what I focus on. I focus on what I have in my life, not what I don't have, right?
Which right there, folks, hold on a second. Hold on. Mm-hmm. You focus on what you have and not what you don't have. Because how many people focus on what they don't have? Give the percentage. So many.
And that's why they're never happy.
So many.
Yes, and then that's why you're not going to be happy, right? If you focus on what you don't have. So for me, and I try to teach my kids, and that's why my kids are hopefully they're on the right path. I tell them, focus on what you have in life, and that's always going to be your northern light.
Be great and be grateful. Be grateful for what you have. Live with gratitude.
That's the best. If I had one piece of advice that I give my kids, because remember I have 4 of them.
Yes, I know.
And thank God they're all doing well.
Handsome men and a gorgeous daughter. Yeah. Your family is freaking ridiculously
what's blended,
good-looking,
right?
Good looking.
Blended. I think the blended families you get the best of both, right? I have Mexipinos,
yes.
Right? I'm Filipino.
Yeah,
my husband's
your husband's Mexican. That's right.
So I have Mexipinos, and I love, living in Chula Vista. There's a lot of Mexicans and Filipinos, so there's quite a few Mexipinos. I thought that was unique.
I love that. I love
unique,
it.
But
whatever mix that is, it's something. I'll tell you that, right?
But all mixes, like you and your family's gorgeous, and you have a beautiful wife, and you have the blended family.
We do.
I just love blended families. I
just
think they're just gorgeous.
Me too. I think it's really cool. By the way,
Yeah,
I think it's cool to. That we and it's not even this day and age with the whole everybody trying to separate us and make us fight against each other.
Well, you actually live longer, right? So they notice when you mix up the genes.
Really?
Yes. So just mixing up the genes in different ethnic groups is survival of the fittest.
Get out of here.
No, I'm not lying to you. So if you look at different, like royal families, for example, because they kind of stayed within the family and married their cousins.
Yep.
Some of them actually died off. Their lineage died off.
Really?
Because their genes were too alike.
No way.
And they were more likely to have genetic disorders, which they did. And so it's not healthy to stay with, that's why you don't marry your cousin, right?
Well, that's one reason.
You got to mix up the genes.
that's one reason.
You got to mix up the genes a little bit. So, yeah.
That's crazy. Yeah. I never knew. So folks, get out there and find someone that's not the same as you. Yeah. Is that what we're saying here?
And that's what opposites attract, right?
Yeah.
I say that.
Yeah. All right. So, okay. So let's go. Let's go back again, because you said that your dad, if he was from the Philippines, how did he get into the U.S. Navy? That's the first question I have.
That's one of the wave of immigrants that came to the United States.
Yeah. Let's dig into this a little bit.
They recruited a lot of Filipinos.
Really?
The Philippines was going to be the 51st state of the Union.
Did you know this, Spencer?
Most people don't know that. Most people don't know that. The Philippines was going to be the 51st
really?
State. But people fought.
Hey, Asian boy, Filipino boy.
Did you know that?
You're what are you, Korean? Japanese, same thing. I do the Asian thing. Yeah. Every podcast I took, because my wife's Asian, so I can say anything with Asian stereotypes, and there's an Asian friend. Yeah. So, Chris, did you know this, that the Philippines is going to be the 51st state?
They were going to be. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. And they should have been. It would have been a lot better for the Filipino people, but they didn't end up being the 51st state. But it was very strategic, the Philippine Islands, there's over 7,000 islands. And so the U.S. had a lot of Navy bases, U.S. Navy bases in the Philippines. So they recruited a lot of the Filipinos to join the U.S. Navy and to fight in the war. So that was one of the wave of immigrants that came from the Philippines. The other wave, which a lot of you know, were the wave of what we call the brain drain, the nurses and doctors. That's why you have a lot of Filipinos.
Is that why? I never knew why.
Like if you go to any hospital in San Diego, how many
they're
Filipino
they're
nurses?
all of them.
How many Filipino
All of
nurses do you see? So they really took a lot
I'm
of
so happy
that
about
was,
this.
Yeah, there was. I'm teaching you a lot.
Yes,
today, right?
I never knew this because
Yes.
I worked with them. They're all around. The little Filipinos. They're everywhere.
The Filipinos.
The
Because
Filipinos.
you know why? Because there isn't an F. There isn't
Yeah,
an
why?
F in the Filipino language.
It's a Filipino.
So there's a. They say everything with P. So
yeah.
Filipino.
Yeah, yeah,
It's not Filipinos.
That's right.
Filipino.
Right.
So, they're like, it's very, I'm going to eat some fish today.
Some fish today.
Fish today.
Fish.
So, so there are a lot of nurses, right? And doctors, my.
So they say puck.
Yeah, fuck you. Motherfucker.
The pucker. Oh my God, that's so funny. All right, so
no,
give it to me
so
again.
the
They recruited
nurses-
them for nurses and doctors?
Yeah, they recruited a lot of the nurses and doctors. One of my favorite uncle and aunt were doctors in the Philippines, and they came here, and so it was in the family, right, to be nurses. So there's a lot of it. Just continues the generations. So my brother's also a nurse, right?
Yeah.
And then his daughter's a nurse.
Yeah.
So you just keep making a lot of Filipino nurses.
So we just
Because
went over
it's-
there and said,
yeah.
do you want to be a nurse?
No, they're already nurses, and they took them.
Oh, they already nurses.
They offered them status.
Got it.
They offered them citizenship
Oh my God, how
to come to
great
the
is
United
that?
States to work. So that was a way.
But did they have to join the military as well?
No,
or
they did not.
'Cause a
But
lot of
the
my-
people that were in the U.S. Navy, they
Yeah.
did. So they received their United States citizenship that way, and then that's how my mother received her citizenship status, and then of course that's how I wasn't a citizen until I was 16 years old.
Really?
Yeah, I had to, because I was born in the Philippines. Then I
But you
became a
came over
citizen
here with your dad
when I
because he
was
was in
2
the
years
military.
old.
Two.
And we were on a boat, and my mom was seasick, and she was seasick, and she was sick for a month because it wasn't like, a direct route.
Yeah.
We had to go all around the world
brutal.
from the Philippines, and my mom had me and my younger brother, and she was sick every day for 30 days.
Oh, no.
Bless her heart. But
Because
she-
being seasick is the worst.
so she was sick for 30 days, but she
What
wanted
boat
us
was
to get
this?
It was one of the ships.
Oh, it was one of the Navy
Yeah,
ships?
I don't remember. I was
Yeah.
2 years old, but that's
Yeah.
what my mom had told me. But my dad was actually on the Midway.
The Midway?
Yeah, he was the one
Get
that's right
outta
here.
here,
He was
yes.
so proud to be in the Navy. He loved being in it. I remember he would clean his shoes, his black shoes, and
Yeah.
his buckle and his
Yeah.
hat, and he was just so proud. And I remember my mom being a single mom for 6 to 9 months
Yeah.
out of the
Right,
year,
'cause he would be
because
on
he
a
would be
sailing.
deployed, and I was the oldest of 4, so I was very maternal at a very young age. I took care of my younger brothers and sisters, and I remember going one day to the ship and going with all of these other fatherless families to this mess hall and saying Merry Christmas to my dad on video.
Yeah.
Because we didn't have,
Right.
FaceTime.
No,
or
nothing.
We couldn't talk on the phone or
Nothing.
anything. But they would video us, and they would send it to him so that they could get Christmas greetings. And
Yeah.
and I remember doing that. I remember thinking to myself, wow. And then I remember when he'd come home and he'd show us his ship, the ship, and he was so proud.
Yeah.
And I was walking on the ship, and I thought, wow, it's so small, like the beds that they sleep in, like
Yeah.
they're
Oh,
like little like
they're
cots.
they're
that were
called
like-
racks.
Yeah. And I thought, wow, but he was so happy and so proud to be in the Navy.
Yeah, I'll never forget that. I still can't
Yeah.
believe that I slept in that little
I
tiny
know.
like
It's
rack.
crazy. So I help a lot of in my practice, right? It's one of my greatest joys is to be able to help military.
Oh, wow.
So I help a lot of military because most people will have some kind of if not injury physically, right? Just being in the military, there's a lot of PTSD
Yeah.
and there's a lot of issues with fatigue and energy issues. And so I'm just really proud in my practice that I could help.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, no,
I love
so,
that.
So that's one of my greatest joys.
And
I remember
so-
my dad.
I love that. I love the fact that he was just so
He was so proud. He's
so proud.
so proud, so patriotic, and just like he just loved serving.
And how long did he serve for? Do you remember how many
27 years.
27
Yes.
years. Wow.
Yes, he did.
And so that brought you obviously here. You said you were all over the country.
Yes,
right?
I used to have a Southern accent, actually.
You did?
Yes. Can you believe that?
No.
No, I was I remember living in the South in New Orleans and Gulfport, Mississippi, Biloxi, Mississippi.
And you actually picked up a Southern accent?
I did. I used to say y'all, and if I talked to someone from the South long enough, I might say y'all again.
Y'all
you
again.
know?
How long were you there?
Crazy. I was there for about 6 years.
Oh, 6 years. Wow.
Yeah, we moved around every
Yeah.
couple of years, but I thought that was one of the reasons why I'm so flexible and adaptable, because I had to be.
You had to be.
Because I had to go from one school to the next, and I was always the new kid. So when I landed in Imperial Beach, when I was in 7th grade, I went to Mar Vista High School.
Yep.
I was really shy because I had a Southern accent, and it was the first time that I had seen so many Filipinos. It was like a culture shock to me, because where I lived in the South, there weren't Filipinos.
Right.
Not in my school. You were black or white, and I was in the middle.
Yeah.
You know, I was brown.
Brown.
And so literally where I sat on the bus, the white people sat in front of me, the black people sat behind me. And seriously, I was like right
in the middle.
I was right in the middle. And they didn't know where I came from. And they were like you. They said, where are you from? I say, I'm from Philippines. Oh, you're lying, girl. You know you're from Japan. They would just make up things and lie and laugh at me because they never heard of the Philippines before. So when I came to Imperial Beach, I was like, wow, there's a lot of Filipinos here. And then I was shy because I had a Southern accent.
Yeah.
And then people want to talk to me because I had a Southern accent.
Yeah.
And they never seen Filipino with a Southern accent.
Wow.
So that was pretty comical.
And so that was 7th grade.
Yes.
And
to Mar
then
Vista.
you've been here ever since.
Yes. Well, I went to, I graduated from Sarah High School, and they now changed the name to Canyon Hills or something because it used to be Junipero Sarah.
Yeah.
In
And
Tierra
where's
Santa.
that? Tierra Santa. Okay,
Right
Tierra
here.
Santa. No kidding.
Yeah.
Well,
I
because
graduated from there, and I was the first graduating class of that school.
Really?
Yes, and I remember I was I was ASB president. I was so proud because there was never a woman that was, a girl that was.
And what's ASP?
ASB, Associated Student Body.
There we go. See, that shows how good I was in school. I know. What's
And then
ASB?
I went to UCLA
I barely
for
graduated.
undergraduate. I ended up going to UCLA, and then I went to UC Davis for medical school.
Yeah.
I did my residency.
All right, so
back
hold
in
on.
Long Beach.
Go back to high school. Right, hold on. Now, were you in Tierra Santa because that's military housing
Yes,
over there?
they had military
That's what I
housing.
thought.
I remember. And my dad had an Impala. He should have kept it.
He had Impala.
I love that green Impala. It was very long, and it was made of steel. It was
made
solid.
of steel. I would hope.
And it was the seats that, there were 6 of us, right?
Yeah.
There were 4 kids. And I got to sit in the middle, in the front, because I was the oldest. And I sat between my mom and my dad when they had center seats.
Yeah.
Do you remember that?
Oh, yeah.
The cars that
I
had
do.
center seats.
Yeah.
And I think the time that they stopped
There
having...
was one big seat,
Yeah,
wasn't
one
it,
big
going
seat.
across?
And then the time that they split that center seat and they made the console, I swear, that's when there were more divorces. I swear. They had
You swear by-
I swear by
Yeah,
it.
the
Because
seats.
before we used to sit closer to each other.
That's true.
We used to sit closer
You're
together.
totally right.
Yeah.
I totally forgot
and
about
then,
that.
Yeah, and families were closer, and then now,
There was
I
even
remember,
wasn't there a little seatbelt in the middle too?
Yeah, eventually.
Right? Yeah, eventually. They didn't have them in the beginning.
I did in the beginning, but I remember being able to sit and we didn't have anything to like stimulate our brains except for talking to each other,
Right, actual
and looking
talking.
outside and playing games like, guess where those people come from in that car, or making up words with the license plates that we would see. But we had to interact with each other because remember, we lived all over the country, and I was the one that navigated my dad because we didn't have GPS. I was the GPS.
Yeah.
I remember when I was
With the
9
map.
years old with a map.
With the Thomas Guide.
No, I kid you not.
Whatever it was.
Because my mom, her first language was not English. So I read the map. I remember when I was 9 years old and we would travel across the country. And
how did we get around?
I know,
How did we
get
do
around?
this? I can't.
I can't remember. But the thing is that our brains were just stimulated by conversation, by the radio.
Wow.
By, talking to each other.
What a concept.
Singing songs and interacting. And I remember those days, and I just thought, but I never thought, maybe it was idle time, but I never thought I was like bored. A kid doesn't have the phone for like 30 seconds and they're bored.
You're bored. Yeah, they don't even know what to do themselves.
They don't know what to do. It's because their mind isn't constantly being stimulated.
Yes.
And, I worry about that. I worry about that.
Oh, yeah.
What we're doing.
And we're going to get into that more.
Yeah.
We're going to dig into that a little bit.
If you don't mind if I have some more
please.
caffeine, because it's really good for my brain.
It feels good.
It is.
It's a
really
good. It's a good smooth energy. It's got about 150 milligrams of caffeine in there. It's C4. I don't work for the company, but this is a plug for my C4 energy drink with stevia. One of the healthiest energy drinks on the market.
Yes,
Anyway,
and I like
it's good,
drinks,
right? Yeah, it's got a nice little smooth energy.
Yeah.
All right, so when you were in high school, what made you decide to go to? You said you went right to medical school?
No, I went to UCLA.
UCLA
College first before medical school.
Okay, got it. So what did you when you went to what? Give me the whole scenario.
So actually, I thought I wanted to. I wasn't sure what I wanted to do. Yeah, I actually liked journalism. So. But they didn't have a major, can you believe, of journalism at UCLA.
They didn't.
No, I was an excellent writer.
What made you go to UCLA, first of all?
Because I wanted to go to a really great university. It's the #1 public university, right? But I didn't want to be too far away from home.
Okay.
So my mom was really strict with me. I didn't get to go.
Mom.
Yeah, I didn't get to go out. Without chaperones. They were just. So I wanted to be away and have my independence, but I didn't want to be that far.
Not too far.
And I just loved the UCLA campus. I mean, you could be whoever you wanted to be at UCLA. So I was really proud. My daughter's going to go there this year.
Oh, she is?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
She got accepted.
Yay.
It's really hard. They had over 149,000 applications. It's the most accepted or most applied to college in the world.
In the world.
So
wow.
So I went over there, and I wasn't sure what I wanted to do, but I knew I wanted to be of service. So I actually thought that I wanted to do teaching. So I actually taught after UCLA. I worked for my master's in public health at Northridge, and I taught health education.
Wow.
And I was really fascinated with the human body.
Yeah.
And I thought, wow, this is great. I could learn how the human body works and teach people about it. And then I thought, what else could I do? And then it led me to think about going to medicine. So I applied to medical school, and I was lucky enough to get into California schools and chose UC Davis because they had a really good program in primary care. I knew that I wanted to work with and serve the general population. I worked at a homeless clinic in Venice.
Wow.
Right? That's when I was doing my martial arts, and I lived in Venice Beach and went to Gold's Gym. I don't know if you've heard of Gold's Gym. Yes. My boyfriend was this huge competitor. Yeah. The same time Arnold Schwarzenegger was there and everything. Yeah.
This is the mecca of bodybuilding.
Yes.
I can't believe you've been there.
And I used to think to myself, how can they exercise for 2 hours on one muscle?
Yep.
These people, they're like so focused.
Oh, yeah.
So like, wow, they're going to just work on their triceps for 2 hours. And they do. And now I know, because now I'm that's what, know, I don't work out for 2 hours, 45 minutes, but you can work on one muscle group.
Yeah. That's so funny.
It's just really
Did you ever see Arnold back in the day?
I did not.
No.
Because
me and my homies from back in the PB days in the 90s when we were in our 20s.
Yeah.
That was our big trip. Was we'd go up to Venice for 2 days, and we'd literally just go to the gym like 4 times in 2 days, and we'd just eat food. We'd go to the Firehouse Cafe.
Yes.
Where they had whole chickens on the menu, and we just eat with the other bodybuilders.
Yeah.
We loved it. That's all we loved doing that.
It was fun.
And then how about the street performers down on the
Oh, I
boardwalk?
love it. Right? You
Right?
can just, people watching is so much fun.
Yeah.
At Venice, it's just so much fun.
It's a crazy place.
Yes.
But I heard it's getting a little bit seedy now, a little
really?
bit rough.
I haven't been there in a while.
So, and you distinctly remember. So you dated a bodybuilder guy?
I did.
Oh yeah, he's huge.
He's huge.
How did that go? We won't go too far into this.
Yeah.
But I'm curious.
No, it was good. He was
Nice guy?
Super nice. Super nice. Looks very intimidating.
Oh, really?
Yeah, this big white dude.
This big white dude.
And then I was like, kind of,
You're a tiny little thing.
Little, and they call UCLA University of Caucasians, lost among Asians, right?
Are you serious? Come on. University.
That's what they
I
call
didn't know
UCLA,
that.
yeah.
That's
At
a
least
thing?
when I went there, yes.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, that's so funny. All right, so at what point at UCLA did you decide that you wanted to go to medical school?
It was actually after when I graduated, when I was teaching. When I was teaching at
no kidding.
Northridge. And I was pursuing my master's, and I thought to myself, actually I had a boyfriend who was going to medical school. And I thought to myself, I could do what he does.
Yeah.
He was talking to me about the things that he did, and I thought, I can do that. And so remember, this was about, I'm
where we at
dating
now?
myself. This was like in the 80s.
Yeah.
So when I went to medical school, I started in 1989. There were still more men than women that were in medical school.
Yeah.
It's still very, not like accepted per se. There's still
Right.
issues like when I was in medical school, they always assumed I was the nurse, right?
Of course.
This was almost like more than 30 years ago,
Yeah.
35 years ago. So, I've been a doctor for a long time, so I've seen things change,
Yes.
with every decade. And I think there might be more women than men
Is
in
that
medicine.
right?
I think so. Or it's just about, I thought someone had mentioned that. I'll have to look at that, but I think it might be, the percentages might be at least equal. But when I went, there was definitely more men than women in medicine.
And what do you remember from that time? Like, did you love it right away? Was it really
I
hard?
loved it because I love learning.
Yeah.
And that's when I knew that I wanted to go into a field where I wasn't going to get bored, where there was always going to be something for me to learn, something for me to be better at, something for me to say, wow, this is like fascinating. And that's why I was so happy that I chose medicine. And I would do medical school again in a heartbeat. I have colleagues that would rather shoot themselves in the foot than go to medical school again. But for me, it was so much fun.
Wow.
It was so much fun for me. I just love learning and yeah, it was hard, but it was what I wanted to do, right? And that's what I tell people. If it's what you want to do, it doesn't matter how long it takes or if it's hard, so what? It's it's what you want to do, and for me, I knew I was at home. I knew that's what I wanted to do, and so I just I thrived and I loved it. But when I went to medical school, we didn't have cell phones.
No,
we didn't have computers.
Nope.
No computers, no cell phones. Okay, so. Think about this.
That. Yeah.
All the projects that we did and everything we did, we wrote by hand. So if for some reason you lost it, like one of the 30 papers, you might have to do the whole thing over again because
it wasn't saved on a computer somewhere.
It wasn't saved. And so when I went to residency, that's when we started using computers. And so when I was in residency, I didn't even have a cell phone. I just had a pager. And remember, they had a joke. If you had a pager, you're either a drug dealer or a doctor, right?
Yeah.
Luckily, I was the doctor, but I had a pager.
I too had a pager.
Yeah, and I remember I was a really heavy sleeper, right? And I remember I would be afraid that I wouldn't hear the pager, so I'd wear a headband and I'd put the pager on my head.
Are you serious?
Because sometimes I would be happy if I could sleep for an hour.
Yeah.
Medical school is so much easier now, but when I went to medical school about 30 years ago, it was like you worked 80 to 100 hours or more a week. Sometimes you didn't sleep. Like, it was not healthy.
No.
It's not right, but sometimes you didn't sleep for, 30 hours.
Wow.
or more.
Yeah.
But now they've since outlawed that.
Yeah.
But so I would be afraid that, oh my God, I'm not going to hear like this pager. So I remember having that, and it's we do what we have to do.
Put it right on your forehead.
I put it on my forehead, and then I would remember.
And then so that was UC Davis, you said.
Yeah, UC Davis, and then I did my residency in Long Beach.
In Long Beach.
Long Beach Memorial, so it was associated with UC Irvine. So I have 3 UC degrees: UCLA, UC Davis, and UC Irvine. So basically California trained.
California trained.
Yes.
So how did you get down to San Diego?
Because I had, at the time, I had I was pregnant my 4th year of medical school, and so I knew that my most important job was going to be a mom. I actually married my anatomy lab partner. My husband was in medical school with me, and I decided instead of going
Wait. Say that again. You married who?
My anatomy lab partner.
Your anatomy lab partner.
Right. So I had it was me and 3 guys on my anatomy lab team.
Yeah.
So and I married one of the guys on my team. Yeah.
No way.
Yeah, we're still together. We just celebrated our 29th wedding anniversary
Raphael.
the other day. Yeah.
Raphael.
Yeah, Raphael. We've been together for 32 years.
That is I had no
33
idea.
years
I
now.
remember that you met through the medical field.
No, he was my anatomy lab partner. He went to medical school with me.
Oh, I thought it was
Still
just the
together.
medical field.
No, 33 years later, we're still together.
Oh, that's amazing.
So I was pregnant with our first child when I finished medical school, and instead of going straight to internship, I decided that I was going to take the year off and be a mom.
Yep.
Because for me, I knew in my heart that being a mother was going to be my most important job.
You knew it right away.
Without a doubt.
Yeah.
And ever since then, it's always been a balance.
Yes.
To find that balance between my professional and personal life. But I always knew that being a mom was going to be my most important job.
You knew it right away.
The first minute I had dreamt about my son 2 years before he was born. And I remember seeing his face. And it's exactly the way how he looked when he was 2 years old. And he was reaching out to me. And he says, "Don't worry, Mama, I'm going to wait for you." And then he walked out. Wow. And then he came into my life 2 years later.
No kidding.
So I knew that I was going to raise him and focus on him because the first year in life was important.
Yeah.
So I did that. And then 4 years later, my son Danny was born.
Yep.
And I was chief resident at the time. So it was
Wow.
I was about to graduate from residency, and I had second son in tow, and then I needed to find a job, and I realized we were either going to live where family lived, which was going to be Salinas, California, near Monterey Bay, or San Diego, California, where my parents were, and my extended family. Because it takes a village.
Of course.
So I wanted my kids to be with extended family, and I was offered a job at UCSD and Kaiser, and I chose Kaiser because of the flexibility that I had, and I just really liked that I could work part-time because my focus was going to be on my family.
Yeah.
Medicine is important,
right.
And it was something. It was my career path that I had chosen, but I knew that, I wanted to be soccer mom, Girl Scout mom, football mom, work at the school, and so I did. And they're like, "Wow, you're working as a doctor and you're stapling papers." I'm like, "Yes, because I'm here with my kid."
Yeah.
Yeah. I want them to know that they're the most important thing to me. And so
I love that.
Yeah.
I love it. So what position did you take at Kaiser? What was your first?
Well, I was a staff physician, and I ended up being one of the physician leaders, right? Because actually I wanted to work part-time, but they didn't let me at first because it wasn't as flexible. I actually had to fight, to work part-time. And I still remember the chairman saying to me, no, 6 times. I said, I need to work part-time because I want to be there for my kids. And they kept saying, no. And the seventh time I said, okay, you're going to make me choose between my work and my family, and you know which one I'm going to choose. And they said, oh, okay, you can work part-time. And then I ended up being one of the physician leaders, and I loved my job, because I went into family medicine because I have relationships with my patients.
Right.
Right? You have a continuity of care, right? As opposed to a specialist where, you see a specialist and then they take care of your knee or your skin condition, and then you go back to your family doctor.
Right, they're gone.
Yeah.
Yep.
For me, I wanted that, cradle to the grave relationship with my patients. And that's what I loved about family medicine. And really the focus of family medicine is prevention. Like people say, there's no specialty. Really, a good family doctor focuses on prevention and keeps you healthy.
Yes.
And so I was always taking people off prescription drugs and talking about lifestyle medicine. So when it came for me to learn about a more holistic way to practice, doing this integrative functional medicine, where I'm looking at how your body can heal naturally with nutrition and sleep and exercise, right?
Yep.
It was very natural for me to go into that because that was already my view.
Yes, you're already going
medicine.
there.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to do. So it was an easy transition for me to go into integrative and functional medicine. But, I care about being good at what I do. So I actually did a fellowship. So after I trained for 13 years, right?
Yeah.
To be a family doctor. I took 2 more years with already having 4 kids, working part-time at Kaiser, and then studying part-time, doing my fellowship on bioidentical hormone therapy. So I was one of the leaders of bioidentical hormone therapy, bringing it to San Diego about 12 years ago.
About 12 years ago.
Yeah, and then I have my own practice since then.
Let me ask you this question. We're gonna. I can't wait to start digging in on that stuff. By the way, but my question to you is, what was it? It was, when you were a family doctor with Kaiser, and you were actually, because correct me if I'm wrong here, because most doctors are just prescribing pills.
Right.
Right. Would you agree with that? The majority of doctors are actually like traditional doctors.
Well, they learned how. That's how that's what they learned to do, and they have a minimum amount of time. So they're doing the best that they can do with their 7 minutes or 10 minutes if they're with the patient, right? And the patient is expecting them to write them a prescription, right? That's what they do. They go to the doctor for that, and I was one of the doctors that always tried to talk people out of taking prescription drugs.
That's my question is, how did that go?
Because
how did that go? Were they
well, the thing is,
Melinda?
I would always run behind, right? Because I wanted to talk to patients.
You were actually there to help.
Because I wanted to help, right? But it was hard because in family medicine, where there's a lot of chronic disease, like diabetes and cholesterol and blood pressure, they expected the pill.
Yes.
And then they were on their way.
The pill.
Yeah, a lot of patients did that, but when the patients didn't, and I could talk to them, and I could convince them to, eat a Mediterranean-style diet and walk for 30 minutes or exercise, consistently, and sleep well, and learn about other things in their life to help their bodies to heal. I got behind, and I realized when I did my practice now, that's what I do.
Yes.
So, but I'm 45 minutes, an hour with the patient. So
and did you get in trouble for being behind?
Well,
give me those. Here's what, because I want to dig in on this, because traditional medicine, quote unquote, what is the format? We don't want you with 7 to 10 minutes. Keep it moving.
That's the average, but because that's how it's structured. But so I didn't want to practice medicine that way, so that's why I left. But it's really hard, right? Because San Diego it's over 90%. There's HMO everywhere,
right?
And they're really good doctors. There's really good, but the system I didn't like.
Okay.
But the doctors are really good, right? They're really good, but there's limited amount that you could do in the short period of time that you have with somebody. And I always tell people, have a good relationship with their primary care doctor.
Yeah.
And if you don't like the doctor you're with, it's your prerogative to choose somebody else. But for me, they're doing the best that they can with the short amount of time that they have, right?
Yep.
So for me, I decided I needed to be better. I needed to do better. And that's why I left mainstream medicine. Because for me, it was about spending the time with the patient to help them understand
Right.
How their body could heal naturally. So when I was doing mainstream medicine, yes, they expected that prescription drug, and they didn't really care about the lifestyle stuff because they just wanted something that was going to be easier for them. Right? The quick fix. But when I went into what I do now in my private practice, people pay me cash money.
Yeah.
So they're motivated.
Right.
So it's a different paradigm. Right?
Totally, yes.
Because I'm not taking their insurance. So they're paying me to help them be better. So believe me, they're going to take my advice.
Yes.
They're going to want to work with me to help them because they have insurance coverage for Scripps, Sharp, Kaiser, whatever they have, right?
Yep.
But they're paying extra to see me because they want to be better and they want to do what they need to do.
Yep.
So they're being proactive, I should say,
yes.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So I don't have to talk to them or convince them to eat right or exercise or the importance of sleep. I don't have to convince them of that because they've already bought into that. That's why they're seeing me.
Right.
Right?
Yep.
And so they just want me to help them heal their body naturally. So it's a different paradigm. And I have that paradigm shift. So my focus is wellness.
Yep.
So I'm helping people to be better where they're at. Mainstream medicine, the focus is disease oriented.
Yes.
Right?
Yep.
So if you have a disease process, what medications or prescription drugs can I give you to help that disease process? It might not help cure it, but it might be a Band-Aid, but it's going to help with the symptoms. So it's a different paradigm. It's a disease-oriented model, the mainstream medicine.
Yep.
And my model is wellness-oriented.
Yep.
So even though you're in the so-called normal range of labs, you're not in the optimal range for your body, right? Because normal does not mean optimal.
Correct.
Normal is just like, you're existing, right?
Exactly.
But people don't want to just exist that come see me. They want to be their best.
Yes.
They want to be healthy. They want to feel well. Because you could not be sick, but not be well at the same time. Does that make sense?
It totally does.
So in my practice, I get people from well, to better or to best.
Yeah.
So it's a totally different paradigm. It's a totally different way of thinking, and I'm so happy to say that I can do that. And
What a great. I had another woman on here, Kat, who's a very good friend of mine. They actually started up a wellness clinic about 2 years ago. Very similar, and we had the same very discussion. But hearing your point of view, having come from traditional medicine, I love this bridging the gap thing here.
Right. It just bridges both worlds. And
love it.
And I don't, and I tell people, don't be hard on the doctor that's treating you just because they don't know what I know. Because you know what you know, but you don't know what you don't know. Exactly. And so you can't be critical of others that don't know what you know.
Yeah,
right? But that's why you're seeing me.
Right.
Because I could help you in another way. I'm not really fond of bashing people because I love keeping positive, right? And the doctors, they're doing the best that they can with the knowledge base that they have, right?
Yep.
And they can, and God bless them for doing what they do to keep you where you're at and keep you healthy, right? But what I do is something different, and I offer them something different, but the people have to work for it when they see me, because they're exercising, choosing the right foods, having good sleep hygiene, right? Like I didn't even notice the value of sleep until I did integrative and functional medicine, right?
Wow.
Remember, I bought one of your beds, and I love the quality of the bed. Even makes a huge difference, right? But that was part of the routine of being able to have that good sleep hygiene, which maybe a lot of people don't do when they go to a mainstream medicine doctor. If they don't sleep, they might get like a prescription drug for sleep, for example, right? But I will talk to them about the whole sleep hygiene, like the whole routine of sleep and what we could do to help you get better sleep, which is like a whole slew of things. And the last thing I would do is give them, if ever, a prescription drug for sleep.
Right.
But the thing is, I have the time to do that because I'm with patients for 30 minutes to an hour. And so it's different
So you're
for me.
actually getting to know.
So I'm getting to know them. I'm getting to know their lifestyle. And I'm getting to figure out what can be the best for them, what's going to work for their lifestyle, right? Like if people say, I can't exercise because I don't have energy. So guess what? My job is to help them have energy so they can exercise.
Yeah.
So that's what I do, right? So I come and meet people from where they're at. And that's what's important. So that I could help them to be better.
I love that. And so what would you say percentage-wise, our population, how many people are on medication to mask something, to put a Band-Aid on something like anxiety, depression?
Oh, my God, that's another thing. I will tell you that.
Talk to me about that.
80% of people that are on Prozac don't need to be on Prozac. Okay?
80%?
Oh, easily, but 20% of them really do.
They do.
And I would never take them off.
Okay. Yeah.
And that's just approximate. But there's so many people but when I see
Prozac
somebody.
is for depression.
Right. And anxiety. But when I see somebody that's on anti-anxiety or antidepressants, I don't take them off of their medicines right away because their body might be dependent on it. So, and I tell people, I don't know if you're in that 20% or 80% yet. I don't know if you really need it because physiologically you might need it. But luckily, I'm the type of doctor that can help figure that out for you. There's so much anxiety and depression right now, especially among teenagers that I see, since COVID, right?
Yeah.
That COVID anxiety is a real thing.
It's a real thing.
It's a real thing. And
you've noticed an uptick since COVID with teenagers.
100%. And I see a lot of teenagers. It's such a complicated issue, but a lot of them have social anxiety just because they didn't think about it. There were kids that miss the whole social development of junior high school.
Yeah. Because
they were at home when they were supposed to be learning how to deal with their own changes in their body and meet and socialize with peers, and they never had that.
Yeah.
So there's social delay just with kids not going to preschool and not doing junior high and missing out on that socialization because school is so important for socialization.
Yes.
And so many kids didn't have that. So just think about it. And then they just felt inadequate because of things that they just saw on social media, right? Because, a lot of social media is living the life that you want to have, not living the life you have,
it's
right?
It's the highlight reel.
Right, it's a highlight. People just show what is positive and happy in their life, right?
That's
but they never show you when you have a shitty day, right? Because who wants to hear about that?
Right.
So it's unrealistic, right? That people see how other people may or may not live and this is what they're comparing their own lives to, and then they don't feel well. And then they didn't get the help that they needed, right?
Yeah.
Because they couldn't see the doctor.
Right. Yeah, that's right.
Right? You couldn't even see the doctor unless you had COVID or you're dying. And then, so it's just like there was just so much that was missing in the healing. So people couldn't even see counselors or do therapy unless they did it by Zoom. And there's a lot that's lost in a communication when it's not
face-to-face.
Face-to-face, like
belly
me
to
and
belly.
you.
Yeah.
Where I could see you and I could see your reaction.
You can feel energy.
And people, I worry about the text generation when people are texting. They're breaking up on text. They're quitting on text.
Yeah.
People don't even,
No.
they don't have the social skills. And so, of course, that's going to lead to a lot of social anxiety. And so 2 years later, now they're seeing doctors and they're anxious, so they're putting them on antidepressants or anti-anxiety medicines that they may not need.
Right.
But that's what they need right now because they want to make sure they don't hurt themselves or hurt others.
Yeah.
Right? So you can't ever you can't ever dismiss when someone's not well mentally
Right. You
and
can't
emotionally. You can't say, oh, you're fine. Fine is a 4-letter word. I tell my kids, if I ask them how they do, you better not say fine. Because then I know you're not good.
That's so true.
That's a cop-out. That's a cop-out to, I don't really want to talk about how I feel right now. Leave me alone.
You're right.
And I hate that. So they're not allowed to say that. I need more. And when you hear a kid say fine, you better think again. You better say, okay, you better get into it.
Dig a little deeper.
You better.
I'm fine.
Or get them help. No, fine is a
cop-out.
4-letter word. No, it's not fine. Things are not.
You're so right about that.
Yeah, but it's too easy to let social media and TikTok and everything babysit our kids, right?
Right.
To occupy their time, and they're never bored because their mind is consistently stimulated. So they have lack of desire for other things. It's crazy.
Yeah, so give me
People could get lost. Like, I had a girlfriend who told me, oh my God, 2 hours later, I'm still on TikTok. I'm like, why?
Yeah.
Why are you doing that? Why are you doing that? Just stop it already. So for me, I like the one-on-one interaction with people. I like breaking bread with people. I like eating and socializing.
That's what my wife loves, because we've gone out to dinner with you a couple times.
Yeah,
that's the greatest.
And dancing. I was like, over the weekend, I was dancing with people, and it was just fun. It was just, and not afraid that I'm touching them while I'm dancing. We're bumped into each other.
Oh my gosh.
We're not 6 feet apart. It's crazy.
And so speaking of 6 feet apart and speaking of masks and all that stuff, what do you think how do you think this is going to unfold in the next several years? Let's talk about the children that have been masked up, been at home on Zoom, especially the mask thing in school for the past 2 years.
Well, that.
Where do you think this is going to go? Do you think we've seen the repercussions of this? Or you think it's going to play out over years?
Well, I think what we have are a lot of kids that are socially inept, basically.
Yes.
That's the problem. So those kids need to be more socialized. When you can't, they've actually changed developmental milestones for children.
They have.
Because they can't, it's delayed because kids are not seeing faces of adults because of the mask.
Right.
So they don't understand emotion.
Yeah.
Because they can't see it. They haven't seen it.
Yeah.
So I worry about that because I worry about them emotionally. Because we're supposed to, the emotions that they know are the emojis that they see, right? But not real people.
On the phone. Yeah.
But you need to see real people's faces. So California will probably be one of the first states where the pandemic is an endemic now, right?
Yeah.
Where it's just everywhere. Okay, it's just a cold, people. So is our life just? It's just a cold now.
Yeah.
So just
live.
Let's live and move on.
But everybody's...
And don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. I say, don't be afraid.
Because everybody that I'm looking around, there's still a ton of people wearing masks.
Yeah, they're afraid, and
by themselves, outside, in cars.
Why are you wearing a mask in your car?
Or outside by yourself. Guys.
Why? Why are you doing that? I don't know.
It's the fear mongering that went on with the media.
I don't want to live in fear.
No.
I don't. I really don't.
Yeah.
So I know... for me, when people see me face to face in my office, they don't have to wear a mask.
Yeah.
I don't. I'm okay with it because I'm okay. I'm good. But I just, I still respect people's choices.
Right.
They could do what they want because I respect people's choices. But I don't want to live in fear. And I think it's just been a very big disservice for us right now to live in fear.
Yeah.
So I hope that we can just move forward from that.
And 100%.
And be more social with each other.
100%.
And not be afraid.
Faith over fear.
Yeah. Oh, 100%.
Faith over,
faith,
ladies
right?
and gentlemen, listen to me. Faith over. Stop
Right.
being afraid. It's
Have
okay.
that faith. It's okay. It's just a cold, people.
At this point, it is a
It's
cold.
just a cold. You're gonna be okay.
You're going to be okay.
you know, I was hoping I got the Omicron, and I never did. I was like, oh,
My whole family
I wish
got.
I know. I just get it over with,
Yeah.
and then you're good.
It's like another flu or cold that we had.
Yeah.
Big deal. Check
We're
it
good.
off. Move forward. Drink lots of water. Take your vitamin D.
It's good. Don't be afraid.
Don't be afraid.
Don't be afraid.
Because the fear.
The fear will
They
literally.
proved that there's more fear-based deaths from COVID than actual. Because people were afraid and fearing it and manifesting it.
Yeah,
that's a thing.
And not to say if you're really sick, seek help, right?
Yes.
I don't want you to feel like if you're really sick that you shouldn't see a doctor. Seek help. I'm a doctor and I always come from a place of health, but I've just seen too much fear, and I've just seen people forget about just common sense things, right? I don't even know why they call it common sense, because it's just not.
It's not that common.
It's just not that common.
It's completely uncommon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
And so with your practice, what kind of shifts have you seen since you've been with the integrative practice? Obviously, because of COVID, there was some major, even you're seeing a lot more patients that have anxiety.
oh yeah,
right,
so many
stress.
people with anxiety and stress. It's a real thing. The COVID stress, the COVID anxiety is real.
Yeah.
And I just meet people where they're at. I don't judge people for how they feel, or where they're at. I just know that I can help them to be better.
And what's
that's what I do.
What's the number one way that you get somebody that's been on antidepressant medication or anxiety, when you meet them where they are? You said 80% of people taking that stuff
Don't really need
don't
it.
actually need it. How
Yeah,
do you?
so I can get them off of it. But right away, I don't take them off of it, right?
Right.
So
So what do you do
implement
when someone comes
a
in?
lifestyle plan of,
Yeah.
we talk about nutrition, exercise, sleep, and then I use peptides and supplements and the natural hormones
Yes.
to help people have their body work optimally and be stronger emotionally and physically. And I was able to do it with myself, and I help people. Like, one of my greatest joys is helping people to lose weight. When people have extra weight,
Yeah.
it wears on them
wears on them.
emotionally and physically. And so when people are not comfortable in their own skin, they just don't feel comfortable emotionally, right? So when women have mood changes from periods or from menopause changes or just from having a baby, right? It's a real thing when you have the postpartum blues.
Right.
If it extends for more than 3 months, that's not normal. And so that's when I help people. And a lot of those women, they end up taking, antidepressants or anti-anxiety medicines, when instead I could just help them with natural plant-based hormones to supplement their body with what their body's depleted and needs, so they can feel like themselves again. So it's I check blood work.
I was going to say, you start with the blood
Yeah,
panel.
I start with the blood work, and I check your hormone levels so I can look at you objectively, right? And then based on your lifestyle and whether or not you need to lose weight, or not, or you just want to have more lean muscle. Like some people, they don't care about their weight. They just want more lean muscle.
Yeah.
Because guess what? When you have more lean muscle, you're building, and you're building muscle, you burn fat.
Correct.
While you're sleeping.
That's right.
And you just have more energy, right?
Yep.
So sometimes I just need to help people just be in better physique, and we could do that with the bioidentical hormones or with supplements and peptides, and I help them help their body to heal naturally and work more optimally.
And so the peptides, give me a little bit about that, because I've taken some peptides over the past couple of years, which peptides are natural in the body already. And from what I understand, they will inhibit your normal production of certain, like growth hormones, stuff like that, testosterone. Can you get into peptides a little bit?
Well, the peptides, they're basically customized amino acids.
Okay.
So they're
Yep.
amino acids, and the essential amino acids means that your body doesn't make them.
Right.
So you have to supplement with them. But what they do is that they help your cells to work more effectively, and it helps actually, you can take peptides to help your own growth hormone,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
increase your growth hormone naturally. Because as we age, our growth hormone will deplete and go lower with age. So when you take some peptides that increase your growth hormone naturally, you're not taking any growth hormone. You're just helping your body produce more growth hormone and help your body just age gracefully and get stronger and get leaner, but you don't necessarily need growth hormone. So I will give people peptides so that they could be stronger and, they have more energy to work out. They make more lean muscle. They lose weight. They have better focus, concentration. They have better sex, all of those things. I mean, one of my favorite peptides is one that helps women with multiple orgasms and helps men with erections. Yeah, I should have brought you some.
Hey.
Next time I'll bring it.
Hey.
I will do a show on that.
Not that we need any of that.
The sex shot. It's always
the sex shot, you say?
It's the sex shot.
The sex shot.
PT-141. It's great. It's actually a peptide that helps. It's like a natural Viagra, yes. And it's
listen up, ladies and gentlemen.
I know, right?
The sex shot.
Yeah.
By Dr. Melinda Silva.
Yeah, they could come to my office. If they told me that they saw you, I'll give them one for free.
What?
Yeah.
A sex shot?
Real deal,
Oh,
yeah.
boy.
They can come.
I'm not responsible, by the way. If something...
They come.
Yeah.
They come in more ways than one.
Yes.
So.
Oh, my gosh. Where is your office, by the way? Is it Chula Vista?
It's in East Lake.
East Lake.
Yes, East Lake, which is, I love it. It's close to where they used to have the Olympic Training Center, right? So world-class athletes from all over the world used to come to East Lake and train.
Yeah.
And to get stronger, and my office is there next to a lake.
Oh, that's great.
Yes, you have the view of the mountains and the lake right there, and it's really easy to get to off the 125. So I love it.
And so the peptides, which one is besides the sex shot?
Yes.
What's the most popular?
Well,
One?
That's a popular one, but I think the most popular one is going to be the CJC Epimarlin.
Yeah.
So that's going to help build your growth hormone naturally.
And growth hormone. Educate a little bit on growth hormone, just so people understand how important it is to have a good growth hormone production in your body.
Well, growth hormone is usually made during sleep.
Right.
So people that have broken sleep, or you don't have good sleep, or you don't have sound sleep, right? You're not getting that REM sleep. You're not only making growth hormone, you're not making a lot of your hormones. And that's why people will wake up feeling tired, right? And so for me, making sure that people get good sound sleep, and you make your hormones usually between 2 and 5 in the morning.
No kidding.
So if you're waking up during that time, you might not have adequate amount of hormones, so then you're not going to be as alert and awake in the morning as you could be, right? And then another hormone that is responsible for the sleep-wake cycle is going to be cortisol. And the problem is that when people have too much stress, their cortisol gets burnt out. So there's what we call a circadian rhythm with cortisol, which means that in the morning, the cortisol level is highest, so that when you wake up in the morning and the cortisol level goes up, you're supposed to wake up. And then in the evening, when you're supposed to go to bed, the cortisol level is supposed to drop so you could fall asleep. But when people have stress, that circadian rhythm is all off. So people could have cortisol highest in the morning, or not. It's depleted. So then, in the morning, so they're feeling tired still.
Yeah.
And it could be highest at night when it's supposed to be low, and
Lowest.
they're awake and they can't go to sleep. So the hormones have to work in concert with each other. So if you're having the other hormones working, then at night, when you're having good sleep and your body is making hormones, then you're going to have optimal amounts of growth hormone, right? It's supposed to be highest in the morning. So that's why it's good to work out first thing in the morning. because that's when your levels of hormones of testosterone and cortisol and growth hormone. And so if you can, a lot of people, they work or they take kids to school, and it's really hard to do that. But I have a Peloton. I'll do like a 15-minute hit in the morning. Like, I don't have a lot of time, but if I can even get like 5 minutes in, 10 minutes in, anything, it doesn't matter. You don't even have to take off your pajamas. Just do something, 5 minutes, 7 minutes, that will set you for the day, right? And they say one of the best things to do is to use natural light in the morning to wake you up.
Right.
Right. So if you live somewhere where you don't have a lot of natural light in the morning, we're lucky we're in San Diego. We could just go outside.
Right.
But you could buy one of those natural light lamps and just put that on in the morning and wake yourself up to increase your cortisol levels, so your body knows it's time to get going. Right.
Yep.
And most people will use like caffeine or something like that. But it's good to try to do the natural things. Do that and drink some water and do a 5-7 minute hit. And I promise you will feel so much better.
Just that one little thing.
Just that one little thing. And people will say, well, I don't have enough energy to exercise. The thing is energy begets energy, right?
Yeah.
So we're balls of energy. If we don't move, we're not going to move.
You're not going to have energy.
Exactly.
Meaning you have to move.
You have to move to get energy.
Right.
So I tell people you have to move to want more energy. So even if it's like 5 minutes, and I tell people the hardest minute of exercise is the first.
First minute, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Once you get going, then it's going to be easier, because there are a lot of times when I don't feel like exercising. Like, my exercise has to be really efficient, because remember, I'm working, right? When people do fitness competitions, that's a full-time job for them. I'm lucky if I have 30, 45 minutes in the day, right? So it has to be efficient for me. If it's not efficient, then I might not get to work out that day, and then I'm not going to be happy.
Right.
So I'll make a point to do that.
And that's so important to note that. 15, 20, 30,
whatever
even 30
you have,
minutes. It
whatever you have.
Make a difference.
Yeah, you don't have to say, I'm going to work out for 2 hours. You're never going to do that.
Right.
But if you could say, I'm going to do 10 minutes or 15 minutes, you know what? Then you're going to get results, because exercise is cumulative.
Yep.
Even if you do like 10 minutes in the morning and then 15 minutes after work, it's cumulative. It's going to be, the energy in, energy out, right? When you just have to
make it a routine.
Make it a routine.
Because once you get the routine, then you're going to feel guilty if you miss it. Mm-hmm.
Or better yet, work out with somebody that's going to hold you accountable.
Yes.
That's why I have a trainer.
Yeah, accountability is everything.
Oh man, that's why I have a trainer, because they're like, "Where are you? I'm waiting for you," and they're going to be with you.
Accountability is everything. I love the group fitness gyms.
Yeah.
My wife and I went to, she still goes to hardcore fitness. I go once in a while. It's the greatest environment, because you surround yourself with about 15, 20 people. They're going berserk. The music's high. You can't help but be motivated.
Right. But you're there because you want to socialize, and you want to be with other people.
Yeah.
And you want to make sure that you don't want to let them down either.
Exactly.
It's easy to let yourself down, but not so easy to let others down.
That's right. Exactly. So
my dad always used to tell me that if you can't do something for yourself, do it for someone else.
do it for someone else, yeah.
Do it for someone else. And so, for me, there were times, since he passed and I didn't want to exercise, I could actually see him poking me in the morning. He used to call me baby, because that was actually my God-given name, Baby Melinda. That's my first name on my birth certificate.
Are you serious?
So my family still calls me baby.
No way.
Yeah, so I had to drop it when I went to medical school. I was like, I'm not going to have baby on my license. So I dropped it. But my legal name is Baby.
No
Baby
way.
Melinda. So he always called me baby until he died. And I remember when he passed, and there were some mornings I just didn't want to wake up, because we all have those days.
Of course.
We all have those days when we're like, you know what, I just want to put the covers over my head and just lay in bed. And he poked me and he said, come on, baby, you could do this.
Yeah.
He would just poke me. Let's go.
Let's go.
So even when he wasn't around, he was still my number one fan.
I love
my
that.
greatest motivator.
I love that. Now, what would you say as far as the number one, you talk about hormones a lot, right? Mm-hmm. So let's talk about females, women. Mm-hmm. Women, at what point are hormones just going south? Things are like all out of whack? Is it a certain age?
Well, it's interesting because hormone balance happens throughout a woman's life. And so I've seen teenagers who have bad periods, cramping, anxiety.
Wow.
And I balance their hormones, and then their periods are normalized. And they don't have mood changes. And
Yeah.
they haven't changed into like this evil twin. And women who after pregnancies, or people that are having a hard time getting pregnant, and the hormones help them to get pregnant, or people that are going through menopausal changes, but they're not quite menopause. So they're not just, the hormonal changes happen throughout women's lifetime. And if you're having like really bad periods, or PCOS, or
Yeah.
endometriosis, or fibroids, or menstrual migraines, for example, and even in men, I've cured men's migraines just with balancing their hormones.
Yeah.
Right? So the hormonal changes can happen throughout a woman's life. It's typical that I will see a woman when their hormones are starting to change after they have babies.
Yeah.
And it totally changes their quality of life. Like my husband says, when mama's not happy, nobody's happy,
Yeah.
right? Because the woman sets the tone for the family.
Totally.
So if she's not good, then other people aren't, the family may not
Yeah.
be as good
Yeah.
as well.
Mama,
So,
the woman is the nucleus, and
yeah.
everything feeds off there. The energy,
Yeah,
the
the
tone,
energy and the tone.
dynamic.
Right. So when I was going through changes, my husband was like, do what you need to do, babe.
Yeah.
I want you to, it was so supportive because he knew that I wasn't myself, but he knew it wasn't because I stopped loving him
Yeah.
or there was an issue with us. The issue was with me. And I recognized that, and I needed to get help for us, but I needed to do the work.
Yeah.
Right. I needed to get the help from people that could get me on the right path of wellness. And that's what I did. And because I did it for myself, I was able to do it for others.
And what's the most common hormone for a woman that you immediately optimize?
Well, the first hormone to go south from women is progesterone.
Okay.
That's the happy hormone.
Yeah.
So women don't have that. They can't sleep. They don't have energy. They're not happy.
Yep.
And then the next one to go down is usually testosterone. And
Yep.
then they don't want sex. They have vaginal dryness. They have less lean muscle. They have fat around their belly. And then estrogen. Most women are estrogen dominant. But because I'm happy to help with the supplementing their progesterone, that can help them with a lot of the mood changes and the weight.
Yeah.
So a lot of women, when they start having hormonal changes, they can't lose weight or they can't maintain the weight loss, and
Yeah.
they yo-yo. They yo-yo up and down. So it's just really important to have a balance. And when we're able to balance them, then it's easier for them not only to lose weight, but then to keep the weight off. And then that's what I do.
And
And
so-
the progesterone, I use the bioidentical progesterone that's
Yeah.
made from plant. So this one actually reduces a woman's risk for breast cancer. Having said that, I never tell a woman that you never get breast cancer, because 1 out of 8 women in this country get breast cancer,
Yeah,
right?
right.
All I could say is that the hormones that I give them doesn't cause breast
Got it.
cancer, right?
Yep.
As opposed to the synthetic hormones can actually cause breast cancer. I don't ever do any of the synthetic hormones.
Right.
But there are a lot of people that don't know that there's a difference.
True.
They think a hormone is a hormone, but it's totally not right. There's differences in hormones.
And explain the difference between the bioidentical and synthetic.
So the bioidentical are plant-based.
Yep.
And they're made to look identical to the hormones your body makes. The synthetic hormones, like the most popular one, is Premarin and Provera. Premarin is pregnant mare's urine. So it's synthesized from the urine of a pregnant horse.
Wow.
Not like your own hormone.
Yeah.
It's totally synthetic, but it kind of looks like your hormone.
Yeah.
But so you can imagine if you're taking too much of it, or you don't have receptors in your body for horse's urine.
Yeah.
Okay? So your body doesn't know how to deal with that. Okay?
Right.
So the perfect example that I could give you is that when you don't want to have pregnancy, you can take the birth control pill, right?
Yep.
the progestin in the birth control pill is a synthetic progesterone. And it's what we call category X.
Yep.
That means you don't take it when you're pregnant, right? It
Right.
prevents pregnancy. And if you're pregnant, then you gotta stop that right away because it can cause birth defects,
Yes.
right? But when a woman can't get pregnant, when she wants to get pregnant, what do they give her? They give her progesterone. Now, it sounds like progestin,
Yeah.
but it's a totally different hormone.
Right.
Unfortunately, mainstream medicine may use those terms interchangeably, but progesterone helps a woman to get pregnant, and it's called category B, meaning it's safe when a woman is pregnant. Okay?
Yes. Yep.
So that means if it's safe for the woman when she's pregnant while the baby's growing, developing, then we know it's not dangerous to the growing fetus, right?
Right.
So then we know that's not harmful for the baby or the mom. That's progesterone. That's the one I'm giving them. I'm giving them the one that's safe. The progestin, which
Yep.
is category X, that's the one that's in the typical menopausal hormone therapy medicines.
Oh, really?
Yes, it goes from birth control pills, and then they give you the hormone therapy, which is the synthetic. I do not do that. That's in a different category. I use the bioidentical plant-based hormones, and even a lot of doctors don't know that there's a difference.
Yeah.
So they will say, why are you taking this hormone? It's dangerous. But they don't understand that it's not the same hormone as a synthetic hormone.
Right.
Does that make
Yeah,
sense?
yeah,
But a lot of doctors don't know that there's a difference. So they confuse the patient. So of course, if the doctor's confused, the patient's going to be confused, right?
Yeah.
Because they don't know that there's a difference. So a patient might get differing views from doctors. But remember, you know what you know, but you don't know what you don't know.
Totally.
Right. The thing is, I know what they know because I went to medical school in California.
Yeah.
But if you don't have the training that I have, then you don't know what I know.
Yeah. And so you're saying
that's
like the
different.
traditional medicine, they're going to give that hormone that's the synthetic.
Yeah, that's the traditional hormone therapy.
Yeah.
It's the synthetic hormones.
Wow. That's a little scary.
Yes, Premarin was the number one drug in the world before the Women's Health Initiative. So there were more prescriptions sold for Premarin than any other drug in the whole world.
In the whole world.
Yes. And then there was a study that showed that the Premarin-Provera combination increased risk for heart disease, stroke, and breast cancer. That's why they, instead of taking it off the market, though, they just halved the dose. They decreased the dose and said you can only take it for 5 years because the study showed after 7 years, this is when they had the problems.
Wow.
So I tell people, why even go down that path?
Yeah.
When you have a choice, the choice that I have, which is a natural hormone therapy that doesn't have those risk factors. But the problem is people don't know that there's a difference.
Yeah.
So they're thinking the hormones I'm giving them falls into that same category as the synthetic hormones.
Right, but they don't.
But they don't. And so a hormone is not a hormone.
See, that's incredible.
But they don't know. But it's just because you don't know. So thank God for people like you that are putting it out there and letting people, educating people so that they know. They just did a feature on me actually on the doctors.
Yeah.
It aired last month and it's actually going to air again on April 19th.
Nice.
Yeah. So and I talk about my fitness journey and I talk about taking the supplements, peptides, and the hormones.
Yep.
And how I could get stronger. But people just have to know that there's a choice. So I empower patients with that choice, basically.
And so I want to also talk about testosterone because you mentioned it was the number 2 hormone for women. So, and I think a lot of women watching this or listening to this, I happen to know about this because of my friends that own the clinic and they educated me also. But please talk a little bit into that. Like,
it's a myth that women don't need.
No one would think that a woman needs testosterone.
Oh, most definitely.
Or has it.
So
have it.
What makes you a man and what makes me a woman, right? We have the same pathways in our body for hormone. But the last hormone for both of us is estrogen.
Right.
That's the pathway. Men and women make estrogen. Men and women make testosterone. The testosterone turns into estrogen in our bodies. But what keeps you a man is 90% of it is going to stay as testosterone and 10% is going to go to estrogen. What keeps me a woman is 10% is going to stay as testosterone, and 90% is going to go into estrogen. So, and the issue is when we get older, the women stop making estrogen, progesterone, and testosterone when they go into menopause, or even after 35 is when the hormonal changes start happening.
That's it. That's what I was at.
That's
35. Okay.
After 35, you're going to start having these changes.
It'll go down and down and down.
And it's going to go down. So if you don't replace it, then your body's not going to have it because your body's not going to make anymore. It's like the factory's closed.
Yep.
So men will typically replace with testosterone, but it's a myth that women need testosterone, but women don't need testosterone, but they do. Women need testosterone.
Yeah.
That's why if you go in a nursing home, more women than men will have the fragility fractures, meaning the hip fractures, because testosterone helps keeps your bones stronger.
Wow.
And men have 10 times the testosterone as women do.
Yeah.
So that's why the men don't have as many hip fractures, and they don't hide from hip fractures like women do.
Yeah.
Because your bones are not as strong. And men will have more as a baseline, and then they're more likely to replace it if they need it.
Yep.
Whereas women, they think they don't need it, so they don't replace it, then their bones get brittle. But testosterone receptors are in the brain. So you have a lower risk of dementia if you have more testosterone. And I'm afraid of dementia.
Yeah.
So I'm going to make sure I have testosterone on board.
Yeah.
Not just to make lean muscle. Like I couldn't make muscle, right?
Right.
Unless I had a healthy, optimal testosterone level. Now, I don't ever super dope anyone. I see a lot of athletes.
Yeah.
But I just want them to be in physiologic range, right?
Right. Optimal range.
Optimal range so that they could build their own muscle naturally, right?
Yep.
But I don't super dope people with testosterone and stuff that makes them stronger, right? We just want them to be optimal. We want them to be in the normal range, right, that they should be in. But having said that, if you have less amount of the testosterone and you have testosterone receptors in your brain and you have less amount, well, then yes, you're going to have more issues with memory issues and dementia.
No
So
kidding.
the testosterone helps keep your brain focused and strong and keep your motivated and confident. So I will see a lot of men and women with lower confidence and motivation because they don't have enough testosterone. Then I give them the testosterone and voila, they have more motivation. They're like that lion behind you.
Yes.
They're like strong,
That's
they're
right.
confident, right? But when they don't have testosterone, they're more meek.
Yeah.
And they're more timid, right?
Yeah.
So that's where the difference. And what happened? Are
Sorry,
you
I'm looking at my videographer
Yeah.
because I've been trying to get him to go to my clinic.
Come,
I'm like,
son.
he's
You
like-
have a clinic?
He's like, the wellness clinic. that I
Oh,
tell
okay.
you.
I was going to say.
I was like,
gonna
he's
I'm
like, well,
impressed.
he's what's the downside? So the downside is you continue to have the testosterone of a woman.
Yeah.
A woman.
Yeah. You don't need that.
Do you like having
Don't
the
worry.
testosterone of a woman?
I'll take care of you. What's your name? Is it Chris?
Chris, yeah, Chris.
Chris, come and see me.
Your fellow
I'll take
Asian.
care
Your
of you.
fellow Asian.
I'll take care of you.
This is an
I'm
Asian
gonna-
clinic.
yeah,
No,
this is
it's not an Asian clinic. I'm
it's
just
not.
messing around.
But I'll take care of you. All right, Chris? You can trust me.
He's like, what's
I
the
got
downside?
You.
I
I
don't
got
know.
you. Well,
I don't trust you.
see, the thing is that it is important, though, to go to a place where they are credentialed and they have the training, because unfortunately there are places where they're not looking at you medically. Like I'm surprised when I see patients from some places, they haven't checked certain levels.
Yeah.
Like estrogen in men, and you have to check estrogen in men. And a lot of places may or may not do that. And so for me, I always come from a place of health. So
Oh, yeah.
people know when they come to see me, I'm going to make sure that we're coming from a place of health. And that's important.
Yes.
So, so the testosterone, we don't want to give too much. You have to be, I tell people, it's like Goldilocks. It has to be just right.
So let me ask you on that note.
But I'm good at doing that though, because that's my training. So in some places they give too much, and too much of something's not good either.
Yeah.
You don't want to give too much
Right,
of it.
right.
So it has to be just right, because testosterone in men, if you have too little or you have too much, you're irritable. And you could be angry.
Yeah.
And irritable and mean.
Yeah, not good.
Oh yeah, I call grumpy old man syndrome is low testosterone or too much testosterone. So you have to be just right. So for me, I'm good at keeping you balanced and just right.
And so
that's what I do.
On that note, Melinda, what about the females, the women that have gone too far, that are competitors, they're bodybuilders? I have to ask you this question. And they have deep voices.
Yeah, I don't do that.
How did they get there?
Because they do too much.
Can you reverse it? Once that happens,
it's going to be hard to reverse if for some of them.
I've heard they've messed up their axis because they went way too far.
It's too far. I don't do that.
They're doing the heavy stuff, though, usually, right?
Yeah.
Not just testosterone.
They're just not doing testosterone. They're doing the steroids, the anabolic steroids, the other steroids.
And on this note,
like Winstrol, Oxandrolone, and whatever. Like you could do Oxandrolone, but you could do a lower dose, and I could do a lower dose for people that's safe.
Yeah.
So you don't have the side effects. So it's all about balance.
Yeah.
So for me, that's what I'm trained in, though. I'm trained in keeping people balanced.
Right.
I'm not going to give too much of anything for anyone because I come from a place of health and I'm a medical doctor and I care about that.
Exactly. So my question to you here is, and I'm glad you just brought it up because you said they're doing anabolic steroids.
Right.
Which is what I call superhuman stuff.
Yeah, you don't need to do that. Though.
Right. So by doing HRT or TRT, testosterone replacement therapy, bioidentical, is that considered doing steroids? Is it the same thing? Is it similar?
Well, they consider that.
Clear that up, because a lot of people ask me about that.
It's because this is what you need to know, JD.
Yeah.
Is that too much of a good thing is not good.
Right.
So testosterone by itself is not bad. But when you give too much of it, it's not good. Like I saw people in my clinic where, because I see a lot of like jiu-jitsu, right? I see a lot of people that compete.
Right.
MMA fighters, and they're coming in with testosterone in the thousands.
Right.
Now, those aren't my patients that I see. They're coming to see me because now they've messed up their axis and they don't feel well, and I got to fix them, right?
Yep.
So I never let them get to that point because that's not my goal. Remember, my goal is wellness.
Oh, yeah.
My goal is for you to be the best version of yourself. But that doesn't mean that you need to overdose on anything, especially the hormones. So I don't overdose people. And there's a systematic way that we do that. We check levels, we start you on therapy, and we follow you.
Right.
But we don't just give it to you willy-nilly. We need to make sure
see where
you're at.
Yep.
And that's what's important.
And how often do you do blood panels with your patients?
I'll see them first, and then I'll start them on therapy, and then I may check them 6 to 8 weeks from there. And then if they're good, usually they're good, then it's just twice a year. And I do everything affordable. Like my comprehensive, like my routine hormone panel may cost like $200. And I haven't changed my prices in 12 years.
Wow.
Right?
Yeah.
Because I care about people. So I try to keep it accessible for people. And I keep it affordable. I keep the therapies affordable because for me, it's about taking care of the everyday person. I'm a big supporter of the Police Foundation. I take care of teachers. I take care of military, and a lot of those people don't have a lot of disposable income. For me, I want to make sure that we take care of the people that take care of us.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yes.
So that's what I do. So in my clinic, I don't have even though I have a concierge practice, they don't have to pay into that. I don't charge like a concierge fee that people charge, like a monthly or a yearly fee.
Yeah.
I don't do that. You pay for things that you use, and I don't overdose people on supplements, and I'm not fond of pushing people on supplements that they don't think that they need. I tend to be more on the conservative side because remember, I want your body to heal naturally. So for me, it's about just getting you to the healthiest point that you can be, but it doesn't have to, cost an arm and a leg, basically, right?
Exactly.
So,
totally.
Because I care about people. I used to work in a homeless clinic in Venice, right? I volunteered. So for me, I actually went into medicine to help people. So now I could do this therapy, and I could keep it affordable for people because I can, because I own it.
Exactly. So, I love it. And so let me ask you this question here real quick. And I'm going to because we're going to land the plane here soon. So I want to get some beautiful knowledge from you being a mother of 4.
Right.
Having a very successful, thriving practice, one which requires a lot of your time.
Yes.
Your husband is also a doctor.
Yes.
Who works quite a bit, I'm assuming.
Well, he works at Kaiser, and he
Kaiser,
does
yep.
work at. He's one of the physician leaders as well, and they're all about lifestyle there. So they have they're more flexible and more family oriented.
Yep.
But you're right. Being a doctor, you don't stop working when you leave.
Right.
Right.
Exactly.
You have to look at emails. You have to look at things for patients. It's you have responsibilities that don't stop when you leave the clinic.
Yep, exactly.
So it's
if
a
you
big deal.
truly care.
If you care about people, right? Which
Exactly.
I do, right? Like I called some patients on Saturday,
Yeah.
and they're like, "Wow, you're calling me on
'Cause you're
Saturday
actually
because I care about
concerned
you.
with how the
I want to make sure you're okay."
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Love
Yes.
that.
But I went into medicine because I care about people.
Yeah, I love that.
And I'm here to serve them.
And so, all right, so what I'm going to do here is we're going to finish this up by asking you a couple of questions to get some worldly knowledge from you.
Okay.
First one is about how do you, with 4 kids, a practice that requires a lot of time, for all of the parents listening here that have children that are just going through the grind, that it's hard to manage, how do you balance the time with work and your children and still give them everything you've got, but not what's left over from work? Does that make sense?
Right.
Like how? Because I've watched your family on social media. You have the most incredible family. Your kids are amazing. We were at your daughter's what's it called? Quinceañera.
Yeah,
Quinceañera, whatever. Probably butchered that. But we were there. We were proud to be a part of it, and we just noticed the love.
Right.
That you guys are just a tightly knit unit. So give me some worldly knowledge on how, for parents listening, how do you manage the balance over time? Like, what has been your secret?
Well, I will tell you.
Or your mindset?
Well, it is a philosophy that I ingrained in my kids.
Give it to me.
About values, family values, and our cultural values. So I was the Kool-Aid mom. I wanted my kids' friends to come to our house so that they could know what our values were.
Love that.
Because remember, I'm a young baby boomer, right? I'm going to be 59 this year.
Yep.
So I grew up with family values. I grew up with having dinner together, spending quality time together. So you may not, because we're so busy, you may not say, I don't have all this time to spend with my kids, but you have quality time that you could set aside that's a priority. So like our priority time is dinner time, is making sure that people are there together, we break bread together, whether you pray together, you eat together, you work out together. Like one of our favorite things to do is go hiking, a family hike, when we're together in nature, because nature also gives you that sense of solace and peace, and spending that quality time together. It's about the quality time that when you're together, you're mindful and you're present. I remember one of my kids, and I'll never forget this. I was like really busy making dinner. And, I wanted to make sure dinner was perfect for the kids. And I was getting everything prepared. And my little kid was looking up at me. And he was trying to talk to me. And I'm like, hold on, honey. I just need to finish this, right? And he said, Mama, I want you to listen with your eyes. And that really hit me hard because he wanted to look at me. He wanted me to know that what he was saying to me at that time. And I tell my kids, you have been my greatest teachers. I am better because of you.
Yep.
Because I want to be the best mom that I could be for you. And so for me, it was really important that my kids knew that they were my number one. And when kids just need to be loved,
Yep.
They don't need all these fancy, I never gave my kids, even though we had the means, they didn't have the latest of whatever just because they could have it. Because I wanted them to know the value of $1, and I didn't want them to take things for granted.
Yep.
And what I gave to them, and this is what I want all your parents to know, is that they just want your love.
Yeah, more than
That's
anything.
all, more than anything. They don't, more than that new iPhone. Now, they might tell you they want that new iPhone.
Yes, they
but
do.
really what they want is your love. And I realized that kids don't like structure. Like I was strict. Okay.
Yeah.
I was strict So, and that's why my kids are successful, right? Because I gave them structure. They don't want that, but they need that.
They need it.
So you have to have that structure in your life, and they have to have rules, right? They have to have rules that they follow, because otherwise that's when things get kind of like lost, right? So, I thought of myself like a CEO of a company, right? Where I was going to manage there, and they had rules. We had a mission statement. Our family's mission statement is our cultural values. We have faith. We do the right thing. We treat people with respect. We know the value of the dollar. We don't lie, cheat, or steal. We had a mission statement, and then everybody had their roles in their family, right?
Yes.
And people need that. You have to have roles in your family so that they need to have chores. They need to know the responsibility of a family unit to make the family work, right?
Yes.
It's not just about doing their thing. It's about how you're going to contribute to the family. And when you give the kids that, then they can find their place in the world. And then that's when they can learn to be productive. And we just pray to God that they make the right choices in life. So going back to being the Kool-Aid mom, that's why I wanted their friends to know what our values were, right? I don't want drugs in the house. I want you to be respectful. I want you to, be kind to each other. Those were the values that I imparted my kids, and I imparted on their friends, so they knew where we were coming from. Because if that doesn't jive with them, then this is not the right family for them.
Right.
Right?
Yes.
So my kids knew that. So they knew to be part of our tribe, these are the values that you have, because you're going to be there's an old Mexican proverb. Tell me about your friends, and I can tell you who you are.
Yes.
Right?
Yep.
So we can't choose their friends, but we could influence them.
Correct.
So that's what my job was. And I never told them that's what I was trying to do, right? But I would invite them. We had a swimming pool. We would have parties. And I would feed them, and I would talk to them. And then ask them, well, what do you want to do, Johnny?
Yeah.
What do you want to do with your life? And sometimes some of them said, wow, I never had an adult really talk to me or ask me what I wanted to do or what I would. And I would inspire them. I would have them. I would help them. I would be a resource for them. And I would say, hey, listen, if you need help, let me help you. Let me guide you. Because it was so sad. A lot of them didn't have that at home.
Right.
Right. So we need to empower our kids that they could be better. But this is going to be the most important thing that I will tell the parents. Okay?
Yeah.
And is this where I'm looking at them?
Oh, yeah.
Are they looking at me?
That's it.
Kids will do what you do, not what you say. All right? Do you get that? Kids will do what you do, not what you say. So you can't say, I want you to be respectful to people, and then you're an asshole.
Yeah,
right?
then you're disrespectful.
Right.
Yeah.
Right? I'm very, to the servers, when we go out to eat, I am very kind to the people that serve me. I appreciate them. I'm grateful for them.
Yep.
And the kids see that. So guess what? They're going to do that too.
Totally.
So that is the most important thing. That's the most important pearl that I can give them. And just love your kids. Really.
Love them.
You just love them.
Yep.
Spend time with them. Spend that time. Well, they know that, and it doesn't even have to be a lot of time. It could be a good 20 minutes, 30 minutes, right? And don't ever take fine for an answer when you ask them, how are you doing? And if Johnny says fine, you know what? He might not be so fine.
Yeah.
That's all I could say.
It's not good.
No, it's not. And so it's, but I get better. I get better with each kid, I have 4 of them, and they're all successful. And my second son just graduated from UCLA. He's going to go to UCLA Law School. And I'm just so proud. My oldest one graduated from Stanford and is teaching now, and he's in the noble field of education.
Yeah, your kids are.
And I'm just so proud of them because they made a life for themselves. They were lucky to make good choices and be productive members of society. And that's all we want for them,
That's
right?
it.
We just want them to be able to make their way.
Yeah.
But you have to show them the path. and this is what's
And give them
important.
the structure early.
You have to give them the structure really early. I was not. I
Totally.
don't like to call myself the tiger mom. I was the kitty mom because I had a lot of structure, but I never made them play the violin for 4 hours. No, I made everybody play the piano for 1 year, but then that was it. But that was because the piano, when people played the piano, they did better in math.
No kidding.
No, that's the studies to show that.
Wow.
So, so I made them do that. So, kitty mom, not tiger mom.
Yes.
But I had certain tools that helped them, but the kids always made me better.
All right, one question. And I didn't plan on asking this question, and I have to know.
What's that?
When a friend or two of your children, when they were young,
Yes.
when there's a child that's coming around that's maybe not the best influence, or you can tell that the family dynamic on that end is not good, and you can tell that something's quote unquote off, what do you do at that point? Do you just say, I don't know if you should be hanging out with this kid anymore? Or do you let the God and the universe take care of that and they just don't get attracted to your family unit because it's so positive? Do you know where I'm going with this?
Yes, I know. No, I've told people.
What do we do here?
I've told some of my, I've told a couple of my kids, you know what, that's not going to be the best influence for you.
Yeah.
And I don't like that energy.
Yeah.
And I'm just honest with them. You just have to be honest.
But when they're too young to even know what that means?
Well, I just tell
What do you
them,
do?
well, I talk to the kid also. I actually, if they're here, if they're with me, I just share them what we believe in our values. And then and some of them don't come back.
You scare them off.
It's
There's
not
too
that I
much
scare them.
positivity over here.
I just tell them how it is. And if they don't like it, if they're not ready to hear it, and I will say that luckily some of them, it affected them in a positive way.
Right.
And so that was a good thing.
Yeah, definitely.
But you have to meet people where they're at.
Yeah.
They might not be ready to hear what you have to say to them. But I never judge anyone because you don't ever know the trauma or what people live through. And people live through a lot of shit.
Yes.
And you're like, wow, how do you do that? So you can't ever really judge people.
Totally.
You just know, and I just tell them, we're here to be a positive source of support for you. We'll be here, we'll guide you, we'll help you. Like I talk to kids all the time about what college are you going to go to? I assume that they're going to go to college. I assume. And if they don't, not college is not for everybody.
Right.
Sometimes they're going to do much better using their creativity or going to trade school. I have no judgment on that. Just do, if you're going to be a pizza delivery guy, damn it, be the best pizza delivery guy that you can be, right?
Right.
It doesn't matter what you do in your life as long as you're being productive and you're being good.
Yep.
And I don't have any judgment on that.
Yep.
But, I always tell people to come from a place of compassion and to be kind.
Yep.
So when somebody wasn't the best influence, I would just tell people, not in front of the kid, that they might not be the best influence. So I want you to know that.
Yeah.
They might not be the best influence. But I always welcome them into my house because you don't know why God has brought people to you, right?
Totally.
You don't know what role that you have in their life. And you don't know if they needed to be there to hear whatever you had to say. So I welcome everyone. I love everyone. I don't have I don't pass judgment on people because who am I to judge? Only him up above can judge us, right?
Yep.
So I want to bring the best out in people, right? So you can have a bad influence in your life, but you can turn that bad influence around because a bad influence doesn't have to make you bad. You can make that bad influence better.
Exactly. You can make them good or better.
Yes, you can. You can make them better. They might still be bad, but maybe not as bad, right?
That's right. Just because they came into your realm.
No, just because you don't need to use that as an excuse. And that's what I tell my kids. You're always going to have certain influences that may not be good or bad, but you always have the choice.
Yeah.
That's what you have.
Yep.
You have the choice to be better.
Yep. And you'll influence them.
Yeah, and you
in a
can
good
influence
way.
them in a good way. Who knows, right?
Okay, so you ready?
Yes, Tom.
Here's the final one. 33 years in with your husband.
Yes.
Right? Mm-hmm. You clearly have the flame is still burning hot over there. Mm-hmm. We can clearly see that. Mm-hmm. What's the secret to that?
Because we have a lot of good sex. That's basically it.
And that's a wrap.
Seriously, people are happiest when you're intimate with the person that you want to be with. That's just it.
Plain and simple.
And so in my life, in my job, I help people have more sex because hormones are needed.
Okay, now we're getting down to it.
This is the real deal.
This is the real deal.
This is the real deal. If you have more sex in your life, you not only are happier, did you know that you live longer?
Are you serious?
No, I'm not even lying. If you have at least, they say, I think it's 100 orgasms a year, you'll live like 8 years longer.
100 orgasms a year.
So that's
Hold on, let me do the
like
math.
2 or 3
that's
times.
a week.
Two or
that's
three times a week. Yeah.
That's nothing.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
That's
This is
nothing. You know what I'm saying?
So if you have, and the more orgasms you have, it's actually good for your brain.
Oh my gosh.
So
100 years the benchmark.
Yeah, that's the benchmark. So no, seriously, if you can keep, and this is all joking aside, if you could keep the romance in your life, and there's intimacy in all different levels.
Tell me how you keep the romance.
That's
Tell
all
everybody
different
here.
levels. It could be that text that says, "Honey, I can't wait to see you tonight," and that and hold you and just let them know you're thinking about them. It could be that, you know what, I left your favorite. I packed something for you to bring to lunch. You didn't get to see them in the morning, but I packed a little something special for you, and they're not expecting it. A little "I love you" on the mirror when they wake up, and that's the first thing that they see. There's little things that take just a little effort, but there's a lot of impact.
Yeah.
Right? That people just want to know that you love them and care about them.
Right.
It's the same thing with your kids. They just want to know that you love them.
Yeah.
And when people stop thinking that you don't want to be with them or you love them, that's when trouble sets in. And it's not a coincidence that there's a lot of divorces in their 40s, right? Because women and men are going through hormonal changes.
Yep.
Right? And this is something that I found out when I was seeing a lot of men when their wife, who is around their same age, right? Say you're 50 years old and your partner's 50 years old, and all of a sudden she doesn't want to have sex with you. Well, she doesn't want to have sex with you not because she doesn't love you, but her vagina might be dry from lack of hormones, so it's not fun. It hurts, right?
Yeah.
And then she's tired. She didn't sleep that night, so she doesn't have energy, so sex is not a priority. So, but they blame each other for not having that intimacy, right? When it's not either of them's fault. They just they didn't get the right help. So think of the man who's going to want to have sex. Does he go with a woman that's like 50 years old that he thinks might not want to have sex? That's why you see them go for the younger woman that they know wants to have sex with them. Because basically, at the end of the day, they just want to have more sex, right? And if you're, and I saw that and I thought, oh, wow, that's really interesting. So I saw that kind of relationship going where people, at the end of the day, they just, and you see this on TV all the time. Most of the commercials they're very like sexually motivated because people want to have more intimacy in their lives. And it could be by a touch, it could be with a hug, it could be with a kiss. It doesn't necessarily mean sex, but it's just that intimacy, right? And so when people's hormones are not good, then that intimacy falls.
You'd say that's the number one reason is...
Well, that's one of the reasons, right? Right? But usually people, that's a whole different segment, and I could talk to you about what makes a marriage work and what doesn't work.
Yeah.
But there's other things that goes into a marriage. But when you ask me what we have that keeps it going, is that we have romance in our life, right?
Yeah.
You
make time for each other.
You time for each other. And it doesn't even mean that it's a lot of time where we're only involved with each other, right? I see my girlfriends, he has friends, he goes to the football games, he goes to the soccer games that I don't go to, right? We have a life outside of each other, but then when we're together, and we're present and we're mindful and we focus on each other, that time that we have together, and that's what's important. People want to know that you care about them and you love them and you're there for them and with them.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah. You're intentional about it.
Yes. It's very intentional. It's very mindful.
Yep.
Because I hate when I go to restaurants and people are texting on the phone when they're like...
Yeah, right with each other.
Right with each other. So we have a rule in our house. There's no cell phones on the dinner table. The TV's not even on. No TV on, no radio on.
Actual
No
talking.
no other media except us. Or we're the only noise.
That's it.
That's it.
What a concept.
That's it. That's the rule in our house when we have dinner. No TV, no radio, no cell phones. So we have to talk to each other.
Actually talk to each other.
We have to talk to each other. We have to be with each other, and we have to listen to each other.
And the moral of the story is have more sex.
Have more sex, basically. Yes.
Have more orgasms.
Yeah. Have more orgasms in your life. And if you can't get an orgasm, I can help you. Not personally, but in my practice. In my practice, I help people have more orgasms.
Because 100 a year and you live
100 a
longer.
year, you live longer and you're smarter.
Ladies and gentlemen, if that's not motivation to knock it out more often and to please your partner.
Yeah, and if you don't have a partner, please yourself, please.
Hey,
Seriously.
hey now.
There's nothing wrong with that. It's just orgasms, however you get it.
That really?
Yes.
Hey. Okay, well now this is a show. This is how you end a podcast, ladies and gentlemen. Orgasms, pleasing yourself.
Pleasing yourself.
Wow.
There's nothing wrong with that.
No, not at all, right?
Not at all.
Not at all. You become smarter and you live longer.
You live longer and you're smarter.
Yeah, my audience is going to love this one. They'll be like, shit, I'm all over this.
Yeah, you should just fast forward, because we've been talking for 2 hours, to the last 15 minutes. Then they'll want to listen to the rest of it. Then they'll say, wow.
Whoever actually listens to the fans that we have so far, they listen to start to finish.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
I am impressed.
Yeah. There's a handful. Not everybody, believe me. I know because these are all long.
Because this is what I would call the highlight reel.
This is the highlight reel here.
You need to focus on this.
Oh, well, listen.
10 minutes.
You can believe that when we do the little clips when we do the little teaser clips, that they're going to be on there for sure, right, guys? Right, my editing crew. So, ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Melinda Silva, we're going to put all of her information on her video, on her sound bites, so you'll be able to contact her if you want to have more sex and more orgasms.
Yes, there you go.
Okay.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm very grateful to be here. So grateful to be here with you. I mean, this is a great thing that you're doing, reaching out to the community and just imparting knowledge from, key speakers and thought leaders, and it's important work. So thank you.
It's my pleasure, and the pleasure it basically is all mine. And I can't tell you how grateful I am for you, for your friendship. We've had some great date nights with you and Raphael.
Yes, I hope we plan another one soon. I love your wife.
She's amazing. We have the greatest time. We're together.
We have so much fun.
We have so much fun. So we're looking forward to more. We'll put one on the calendar immediately. So,
yes.
Melinda, I can't thank you enough. Ladies and gentlemen, Real Deal Talk, and that's a wrap. Have a nice day.
Thank you.